Inflation is a hidden tax. Imagine you're the government of a country. The only way you can make money is through taxation. And let's be honest, there's no shortage of creativity when it comes to creating taxes. But what if I want to make even more money? You can't increase taxes anymore without risking riots and protests in the streets. The people are fed up and they've had enough. That's where inflation comes in. You see, the government can print more money, and as they do, the value of the money already in circulation decreases. This means that everything becomes more expensive, from groceries to fuel to the products we buy in stores. And the best part? Politicians stay popular with the people, blaming those greedy corporations for rising prices, those selfish capitalists. They can even announce a decrease in taxes, all while printing more money to cover their operating costs. And who ends up paying for it all? Santa Claus? No, it's you and me, my friends. It's a trick politicians and central banks have had up their sleeves for decades, where the government pulls money out of thin air and we're left footing the bill without even realizing it. Our purchasing power diminishes and we're forced to pay more money for the same things we used to buy for less. Welcome, my friends, to the hidden world of inflation, a topic we all hear about, but seldom understand. We learnt about it briefly in high school, but who has the time to remember what it actually is, right? It's one of those things we hear on the news or our parents complaining about. Prices go up, that's all we really know. Or is it? Some of us may have heard that inflation is caused by corporate greed, while others believe it's the result of labor unions demanding more pay. The higher the wages for employees, the higher the prices of services or products. Makes sense. And then there are those who think inflation is caused by oil-rich countries, making oil more expensive and driving up the prices of everything, from groceries to transportation. But let me tell you, my friends, that's only part of the story. Inflation is actually a hidden tax created by government, and it's time we learn the truth about it. So, the next time you hear about inflation, remember, it's not just some mysterious force of nature. It's a hidden tax created by government to fund their operations without us even realizing it. Stay curious, my friends, and keep questioning the world around you. Let's get into it. Over the course of history, empires and nations have used all types of materials as currency, some just outright random. For today, let's focus on the USA. Around 1619, in the states of Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina. Long before the American colony was established, they used tobacco plants as currency. Yes, that's right, tobacco. The same tobacco that we smoke today and people chewed back then. As crazy as it sounds, it was used to buy all sorts of things, from food, clothing, and housing. You could even pay your taxes with it. However, something about currency is that it always has a tendency to grow in quantity, and the more tobacco circulated, the more expensive things became. Inflation. By the end of the process, prices were up 40 times as high in terms of tobacco as they had been in the beginning of it all. It got so crazy that people started burning other people's tobacco farms in efforts to stimulate the economy and bring prices down. But this was to no avail. The government passed a law making it a capital offense to burn somebody else's tobacco, punishable by death. Different times. Gresham's law was at full display here. Basically, this law states that bad money will drive out good money, and this was illustrated by citizens keeping the good quality tobacco for themselves and trying to make payments with more inferior quality tobacco. They'd keep the good stuff to try and sell overseas for hard money. So, what is hard money? Alright, let's slow down a bit. The concept of scarcity and abundance plays a crucial role in determining the value of money. Well, when determining the value of anything really. Take gold for example. It's scarce and challenging to find, mine and refine, which makes it hard money. I mean, people literally die trying to mine this stuff. And let's not even get into the shady business practices prominent in the industry then and now. In contrast, tobacco leaves were abundant and easy to grow, making it less valuable. So, which source of money do you think would create inflation faster? The answer is pretty obvious. It's the abundant one. Fast forward to today, paper currency is like the tobacco leaves of the past. It's not backed by anything, at least since 1971, when it was backed by gold. And our leaders and central banks can just print it whenever they please. Think about it for a second. You've probably heard that movie tickets used to cost 69 cents in the 60s. Now they're up to $15. A regular household only needed one parent to work a job, and they made enough to provide for the whole family. And man, people had a lot of kids back then, I'm telling you. Not to mention how difficult it is for millennials to buy a house today compared to our grandparents. This is all inflation at work. And what happens when currency keeps being printed and is not backed by anything of real scarce value? Think about it as an alcohol binge. Yes, it's fun and the good effects are felt first. The party is lively and everybody's having a good time. But we all know that the hangover is going to hit us harder than the delusion of checking our bank balance the next day. Inflation is the same. A stream of money is great as we now have extra cash to buy whatever we wanted. But after some time, our frivolous behavior will catch up to us in the form of inflation. All you have to do is take a look at the stimulus checks most citizens got during. There was a mania. Everyone was ecstatic, but show me, where is that same enthusiasm now? And that's it. Inflation caught up to us. Something that's also worth mentioning is that sometimes politicians will claim to give us a tax break. Sure, this seems amazing at first, but now that we understand what's really happening, inflation will push you into a higher tax bracket, so you end up saving nothing anyway, all while happily giving away your vote to that generous governor.
We'll have future discussions this year in this session between Senate Finance and House Appropriations in order to get this done. There is bipartisan support for this.
How does taxation without representation really affect how much the Crawford family has left to spend after it's paid its income taxes? Well, in 1972, Bob Crawford earned $12,000. Some of that income was not subject to income tax. After paying income tax on the rest, he had this much left to spend. 6 years later, he was earning $18,000 a year. By 1978, the amount free from tax was larger, but he was now in a higher tax bracket, so his taxes went up by a larger percentage than his income. However, those dollars weren't worth anything like as much. Even his wages, let alone his income after taxes, hadn't kept up with inflation. His buying power was lower than before. That is taxation without representation in practice.
Starting to get the gambit? Hold on. Isn't the Federal Reserve responsible for printing money? Yes, but remember, they are an arm of the government, although they operate as a private institution. For more on this, watch my video on the Great Depression. So, that's inflation in a nutshell. But how far can this be pushed? For the answers on that, we'll have to explore Germany after World War I, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and a few other places. Until then, Slee Reddy, signing out.